Oh my God, this is always late. How you beat them?
Oh, you
I gotta understand. Here.
Oh!
I'm only asking.
More than 6 days.
Yes.
Nothing.
Jam. Yes.
I'm not bad. I want to graduate one time, no extra stuff.
And your verb chart that I gave you on the AR, ER, and IR verb, that chart, that will go into this unit.
Oh.
So this unit is foods and yes, or if you can keep it right in front of you, it's even better.
You want us.
Okay, this is the list of the new verbs. It would be good for you to put them. Am I giving you out the wrong thing?
Yes, you are.
Oh my goodness. I sure am. Giving you out the wrong paper.
Yeah, senora.
Oh my goodness.
Ayos, medios.
But that's okay, you can always, you can always use that.
Hey, you go.
Here you go. Oh, Lordy. Oh, I do have it
Good.
somewhere. So for now, what I'd like you to, before I hand back the quizzes, who did not take the quiz 3? Somebody didn't.
You're probably thinking about me, but I did second it.
The one on, they were in sentences and you just had to write
Yeah, the 5-question
the
one.
10 sentences and you had to put the verb conjugation, the correct one, and it said quiz 3. So let me, okay, let me just check. Hold on. Before I look for I've had that list out for 2 weeks and now when I need to give it out to you, I need to find it. So I just assumed it was here. Okay. Well, you know what? This is at least a good review for you to keep for test review, so keep it for chapter, it says chapter 4, but it's actually chapter 3, this one. It's a good review. Okay. So, I will. Just check. Is Gabrielle here? Absent.
No, this is the wrong one.
But keep it for review, like a study guide.
Everybody got a wrong one?
Yep.
So are you about to give her, and she works at Sky? She's not all happy, like. Oh my God, get off of me. Get her. Sit.
I am too. I hear it from progression.
So, like, anybody got any going on?
I'm like, so how is that?
Okay, Dimitri, Micaiah, you were the two that did not take it.
You want my teacher or what? No, my teacher. You want to go out? This one's way off.
Nah.
It's blue. All right, so I'm gonna ask you to come out, I'm gonna put you in another classroom to take the quiz now. Okay.
You want me to fail now? Because I don't remember.
Yeah, the AR.
Oh, yo.
Do you wanna take it tomorrow?
Let's get over with now.
See you later tomorrow, bro.
Your shoes are fire.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, my basketball ones?
I'm taking a sorry.
I don't think I'm wearing them on the way here.
Stop,
I
TJ.
don't think I'm wearing them on the way here. Because like the video, there's a light there.
Friday?
If the jersey was black or
I
whatever,
went on Friday
I would wear mine. That shit ain't gonna match. White.
What were you doing, man?
Thursday was the last day. But I was in bed the whole week. I was in bed the last week.
Yeah. That was TJ. I swear to God, I watched this shit like 15 times. I swear to God, I watched this shit like 15 times in one day.
I'm about to work out while
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm adding you on Snapchat. You're gonna stick to my stuff.
What? I've done it's a habit.
It's a habit.
Stop. Everyone does that, but everyone else does it. Not me.
All right, so let's start. While I'm looking for
This boy is funny as hell.
something I've had for 2 weeks, waiting to give it to you, can't find it now. What I'd like you to do is look up estar in your chart, because it should be conjugated in your verb chart. Mhm. And estar, can you think of another verb we've been studying that means to be? It was like the first verb we studied.
Ser.
Ser. There's a difference.
Sorry.
Ser means to be, and estar means to be. But ser follows this. I gave this to you way at the beginning of the year. I don't know if you remember it. And it was for, does anybody have to remember what uses it is?
Description.
Oh, very good. Wow, I am impressed.
Characteristics, all that.
Description,
Because it was every day.
occupation,
Isn't it like characteristics?
yes.
We still ain't present that project.
Characteristics,
That was last semester anyway, so it's not gonna count.
time,
Origin.
origin, where you're from. If I ask you, de donde eres, that's
Religion, relationship.
like, soy hermana, I'm a sister. Then I'm just okay.
Right, like, shut up.
I have to look up if there is something for a star. I don't remember offhand when you use a star, but the easiest thing is location.
What's that star?
To be. Location, meaning where are you? Estoy aquí.
So what's the difference between
Oh, that's the difference. You will not say soy en la clase. You won't say I am in the class, because this is a location. You would say estoy en la clase. And actually, I don't know if I'm going out on a limb here, but to me, this is more common, using estar. Okay, estar is also how, thank you.
Is that star still?
The reason, it's a characteristic, meaning a permanent characteristic, like I'm tall, or I'm, what's the word? I'm American, kind of a characteristic. Or I'm black, or I'm white, or I'm Latino, you would use ser. But here is a temporary condition, like I'm sick today, that's temporary, so you would use estar. So there are differences in use. This apparently is a problem with many Anglo speakers. I've made mistakes myself. So we're gonna have to get used to it, when to use it. So it's an irregular. Does anybody remember from your verb chart what this is for yo or estar?
Soy.
Good. Yo estoy.
Estoy.
Eres would be over here. So over here is soy, yo soy, tú eres. So does anybody know what it is for estar? Estás.
Estamos.
Right. Estamos for when?
No, slow down.
Right. ella, which is all the same.
I don't know.
It would be follow the pattern. It is a pattern, just like the AR, está. And here for ellos, ustedes would be están. There is an accent mark, okay, in estás, estás. So it is almost like o, as, a, amos, an. It's an AR verb. It's just irregular with this Y on the end.
Period.
So that's easy, right? Is that easy?
Give me a quiz.
So when I ask, how are you today, I don't say como son, which would be over here. I would say como están. Very good.
Oh, is that
I am, whoa, I'm okay. I'm okay. I have a few issues, but it's okay.
What's the
I
problem?
got 3 shots in one day.
Really?
Yes, and I was sick.
Where?
I got 1 shot here, 1 shot here, and
can't
1
get
on my
3
eye.
shots. Do you have cataracts?
Wait.
No,
No? Oh.
the beginning of it, but no, I had to get it because the optic nerve in this eye is swollen, which affects my eyesight. So they found that some cancer medication, some genius found out that cancer medication shot in the eye actually reduces the optic nerve. So if there's less pressure on my eye, I can see better.
Oh, I have.
But I had to get a shot in my eye.
What are you gonna see for a day?
On like the
Oh,
eye
yeah.
that knock you out?
Where exactly?
Did they knock you out?
Right. They gave me a lot of numbing medication in the eye. But the doctor says, don't jerk. And of course, what did I do? Because I felt it. I went,
Because it's your eye. It's
your eyeball.
I'd be like, don't put me out.
yeah,
It's your common
so I was not well for a couple of days. So,
so.
and I still don't feel 100%.
You should relax.
And I was just about to give
I
you.
feel a little feverish. But that's okay. So, you finished? Muy bien?
No, I didn't finish it.
You tried, thank you. All right, so here we go.
Make.
So we are on estoy. So when you ask me, señora, ¿cómo está usted? I would say, regular. I'm just okay. I'm here. So if I would ask you, ¿cómo están? Because I'm talking to all of you, ¿cómo están ustedes? You could tell me. Or if you want me to talk to you regularly, ¿cómo estás? Muy bien. It's a temporary condition because you might not be well today, but you might be well tomorrow. So that's why we use estar. We don't say como son. Now, if I say como son, I'm asking for a permanent, like if I'm talking to another teacher and I'm saying, oh, those seniors over there, como son? Like, what are they like? What are their characteristics? Like, oh, they're very polite, they're very well behaved, they don't stay in the bathroom when they're not supposed to. I'm sorry, I just had to do that. Et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Right. All right, so. Okay, so you understand the difference?
No.
This is when you ask somebody, how are you today? How are you feeling? Temporary, okay? Temporary emotions or whatever. This, you know, is doctor, so you already know that one. This is more permanent. All right, so I'm gonna have to go look for the sheets of paper that I had all last week. I know I have them, I just gotta look, so I apologize for that. For Unit 4, however, you can get your books because we're on the food unit. All right, so you can get your books now, and it would be page.
No, this was last night. Kim, you know that brand that Aria did and all that? Like it's called like GUSWOR.
Oh, yeah.
They had people set up for everything yesterday. But right now, I think it ends at like
page 143.
it ends at like 9 I just ordered a special from there. It's $50. It's usually $100. And shipping is free.
Right. Wait, who rated that?
Ari and Jada and all them.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. All right, food, page 143.
So like,
is it, what's her name?
And if you would just look at the list.
Is she in
It's on the board, page 143.
I want to keep her. Right now?
That's why I'm here.
did that. CJ.
Get your book.
Hey.
One.
Me and that buck cream.
Oh, right.
What did you saw?
Good color. What's going to get you?
Huh?
She's like, say something. It's a Monday and it's raining. Sorry.
Exactly.
Get her.
Cheers.
Because you know that she likes you.
She finished from me.
Wait, Kim.
She wants your attention.
I'm like,
She wants the benefit of the doubt, so she can even try and say to your girlfriend, it's gonna start an argument. That's why I blocked her. My girlfriend is already know about her.
But
I told her.
don't try to create problems. Or situations that is going to escalate.
You act like
Literally, I didn't need to know that. Keep that to yourself.
Are you looking?
Bro, what do you want from me? Like,
Okay, but you can tell her the truth all you want. That's gonna overshadow the fact that she likes you and the fact that she's giving her attention. As long as you're still talking to her, she'll go fuck about what you're talking about. I would lie. And whenever
I ain't buying it.
but you still gave her a response.
Mom,
Stop giving her a response.
I have to like.
Like, I haven't. Ever since. Nick. I can't stand you. Oh, speaking of a goddamn devil.
I spent $300 from 2 months fucking website. No, 3. Like, what the hell?
Oh yeah, I was on.
There was some
That's what my niggas got.
He had to sell too. I think his had dread. It was like
Because you had a girlfriend and you said you
didn't
want her.
No, we didn't break it up.
So at this point, it should be over. Oh wait, hold on.
You niggas.
But I would say I ain't get my shit.
Yeah, no, it should be over
What's wrong with my shit?
What? Then someone else.
I did them. I did them. Because they gonna send me new extras. I just wanted my money back. Now I got my
Well,
money.
according to her, the person asked.
I was like, oh, I didn't get my stuff.
Yeah.
It was like, okay,
I
what
was
you
on
said
the
you all
phone
doing?
with her
You had to sign
last
these.
She was like, should I? Thank you, mama.
Yeah.
I know.
Ah.
Can't find anything, Nora?
just waiting to give them to you. I'm just handing out some verb charts, some things that.
I still haven't gotten mine back.
What?
Of your chart?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he handed me another paper. It wasn't a chart. I forgot.
Okay, so I'm handing you at least a paper that has to do with this chapter. Take one and pass it back. Take one and pass it back.
This is an extra seniority. Thank you. That's my sheet. Oh, wouldn't it be like, wouldn't it be seen as like disrespectful if I told you seniorita? Because that's like a girl. And you're like,
Yeah, but I know that you don't wear it.
This is all extra.
Thank you. Sometimes people do it to be extra. Like there's a guy at Wawa who calls me a señorita and I say thank you. I say thank you. So, he's not trying to be, he's just trying to actually give you a compliment. Right. That's right.
wait, Senora, you gave us an extra.
Okay.
Oh, never
Oh,
mind.
you're on the wrong.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Okay, all right. Okay, this is just a review again. Another review. Since I can't find what I need to find.
You can't remember it.
The thing is, there was only one copy and I made copies. And I don't know where the original is, but page one, I will get it to you definitely by tomorrow. Page 143.
I don't miss this one.
Let me take a pen. Like I need my oxygen tank.
Oh, Papa's pizza.
Do we have fitness club tomorrow?
This one needs a lot of control.
Sorry?
This one
Do we have fitness club?
they go up, that's what I'm sure.
Gotta go to nurse again. I'm gonna check.
You want to take a long enough, the shoe she got on.
Are there any words that you'd like to hear pronounced there before we even start?
Papa's pizza.
Wait, what?
Yep. Dang.
Bocadillo?
Yeah.
Bocadillo is a sandwich.
Yeah.
Bocadillo.
That's all.
What's pan ducle?
What's that? Can you go?
Pan ducle.
Amber, you do it too.
Pan dulce?
Pan ducle, yeah.
Pan dulce is like,
I don't have a car.
Yeah.
They're delicious.
Why don't you have a car?
Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying.
have monkey bear before?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it?
You see, I don't get you. You know your mom's gonna be
I don't know.
Because
It's like a
it's so
donut with like
sweet.
bread and this. I don't know.
Pretty sure donut is made out of bread, but
But it's like at the bread.
The ball, see that?
I don't know.
I feel this like
give it up.
when
Give it up.
someone's rubbing your hair and like
Is that sofa? Un sofa? That's
sleep.
un sofa or sofa?
Okay.
I was supposed to go over anyway, and my mom
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start. Amber? Okay, we're on para beber. Does anybody know what that is?
It's a drink.
A drink.
And para comer?
To eat.
To eat. All right, so let's start with the drinks. So a drink, on the back of this unit, if you want to, or on a separate, but on a separate sheet of paper, or the back of this paper, you can write these words down. The first one is gonna be bebida. Las bebidas. I know. 'Cause, yeah, we have to share.
Nah.
Look at your face.
You know what? I'm really tired of never leaving me with you.
I was cracking up.
Okay, can anybody tell me what the plural? Anybody tell me what the plural of that word is?
Las
bebidas.
bebidas.
You're too late, Scott.
And then I said it first. I said
Whoa.
I said like 8. No, I said like 8 times.
I said it.
But I was first
I
gonna
didn't
do
even
it.
say it.
All right, singular plural. The drink or a drink is una bebida.
The drink.
Las bebidas or the drinks, or some drinks would be unas bebidas. Remember, don't say unos. It's una. Una bebida is a drink. All right?
What's the difference between un cafe solo and un cafe con leche?
Okay, un café solo, that's a good answer.
Really?
Question. The first one is coffee alone, without any kind of milk or,
Sugar.
Black
yeah,
coffee?
just like black coffee. Yeah.
That's good for your eyes.
That's a un café solo.
Black coffee is good for your eyes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to have bad when I was younger. That's why I always drink coffee now.
Y'all know that. It's not the leche. The leche.
Yes, you can write the singular and the plural.
It's actually not a thing, like, 'cause I honestly remember.
Okay, so you can write, the rest of these words here. Number one is un café solo, un café con leche, which,
Leche is milk.
yes, or cream. Café con crema is cream.
I speak.
I didn't know that. I just told myself that.
Un café solo, that's
Un café solo, you said
That's
it's
like black coffee without
Black
anything.
coffee.
The word, I never taught you these words. Can you put that?
What is
I never taught you these words
words, I think you kind of guessed it from context. I used to do Rosetta Stone and
What?
I used to do Duolingo. I swear to God, they made us do Rosetta Stone at BB Prep.
Yes, they did.
Exactly.
Ooh, yes, they did.
Rosetta Stone, right? Remember?
Sorry.
Sorry that you too.
We were in like 7th, 8th grade, like.
That's an expensive program.
Yes, they sponsored us.
Yeah.
Mind you, BB Prep didn't even have a gym.
Exactly.
It's actually great for teaching you how to pronounce.
That was our gym class?
Yeah.
Ping pong on computer?
Imagine. See, at Memorial it was ghetto, but it was still fun, bro.
Yeah, but I remember they started splitting up the girls and the boys. I used to be mad tight.
Yeah.
Like, all my bros were from gym.
All right, here we go. Oh,
It's un cafe.
I couldn't get any water in my eye for infection. I couldn't wear makeup.
You got
On
an infection?
Thanksgiving, I couldn't wear eye
What?
makeup.
You love it.
Wow.
And I had guests.
I'm pretty sure that was mad stressful, dog.
See, I don't even do makeup, so.
She was a little eyeliner on.
No?
I just felt like, naked, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And now they get all the time.
So I wore my glasses, but,
Puedo usar el baño? I had to read it.
Why is she looking like that?
I don't know.
Un café con leche, that's what milk is.
Una ensalada.
talked about that.
That's coffee with milk.
Oh, here you go.
here I go.
Or no?
Here I go.
Can I go see or no? It's a yes or no.
No. Yeah, no, you cannot.
Sierra, my bladder's about to explode. Shut up.
Just pee then.
Well, maybe
Just
whatever
go.
area.
Make sure you,
I know, I drank the whole thing.
go ahead, hurry up. All right, un café solo, un café con leche is number,
Bye, mermaid.
I don't know where you wanna start. You wanna start with number 5 as un café con solo?
Yeah.
Wait, what is that?
Anybody
What
know
is
what con
that?
and scene mean?
Corn is with. Corn is
Con is
with.
with, and scene is without.
Yeah, when did you write?
Wait, Miss.
I wrote it because of that un café solo. It means without milk, without sugar.
Miss Hernandez.
So it
Um,
means scene,
What is the top? This say?
para beber.
Yeah.
It means to drink, for
Okay.
drinking. It actually means literally for drinking. That's why I gave you la bebida, and las bebidas come from beber. All right,
Baby.
guys, number 5, and I do apologize for this. I will have the list for you tomorrow.
Oh, it's fine, don't worry about it.
It's not
To
fun.
drink,
I need to learn. I need to learn my word.
drink, drinks. These are nouns. The drinks,
Let's look up
the
my dictionary.
drink.
One more class.
With, how do you spell that? Without. On your verb chart, do I have the verb tomar, which I think I do?
Yeah.
Tomar? On your verb chart?
That means tomorrow.
No, tomar.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, it means to take, it means to take, like,
Imagine
what kind
being
of
slow.
drink do you take?
I take Sprite.
Okay, so you would say yo tomo Sprite.
Yo tomo Sprite.
Yo tomo that.
Long name.
All right, so here we go. Number 5, which is what Micaiah brought up, beber means to drink.
Correct.
Number 6, una gaseosa. Can you relate gaseosa, which has the word gas in it, bubbles,
Bro.
to soda?
Oh, I thought y'all were talking about a different gas. My bad.
No. Now, in my husband's country, in Costa Rica, they don't say soda, because soda actually means something else. It means a restaurant in Costa Rica. So they say gaseosa. Or
In the
cola,
South, we say
una
cola.
Coca-Cola.
I love Coca-Cola.
Like, can I get a cold drink?
Right.
They get a whole drink.
Everybody knows Coca-Cola around the world,
Yeah.
right? Did you know that it used to have cocaine in it?
Yeah.
You guys already knew that, huh?
I didn't know that.
That's why it's called cocaina, cocaine. Yeah, it used to have a little bit of
When did it
cocaine
get
in
taken
Little
out?
shades of
I might
cocaine.
have had one the other
Is
day.
that why it's so addictive?
When did
Now they
Coca-Cola-
traded it for caffeine, which is still addictive.
When did they trade it?
Well, when they first discovered it in South America, they put a little bit of caffeine,
Just a little smidge.
cocaina,
I might have had
cocaine
one.
in it. And there was also something like with tea, they put something in the tea too, cocaine in their tea. It might be, it was just for little ailments. You know, like now how marijuana, what is the thing called marijuana, the extract?
You crack it.
No, it's like CBD.
CBD.
CBD. It's the same thing. You know, it's the same thing. It's not the drug.
CBD. CBD looks just like marijuana. Oh my God.
All right, so we have number 6 is, what do we have for 6? Un café solo?
Tea.
And 7 is un café con leche. Number 8 is una gaseosa or una soda, means the same thing. Coca-Cola. Soda drink. Now underneath it, beneath, above, they have los refrescos. Salud, you okay? So do you see the word in the gray box there above the 2 drinks?
Correct.
Los refrescos.
Los
Refreshing.
refrescos. That's right, it comes from the word refreshing.
You didn't know that. You didn't know that.
It actually means
Refreshments.
Yeah, refreshments, that's what it means.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
know what it says.
I know what una limonada means.
Una limonada.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah. All right, so do we have, guys, 6, 7, 8, 9, well, 8 you have 2 words. 9, un té helado. See, I don't care. You'll learn that. It means iced tea.
What, iced tea?
We just say un té.
Tea.
Yeah, I never heard of.
Yeah, helado.
Tea.
Iced tea. And then, so that's 6, 7, 8, 9. Number 10 is los refrescos, which is refreshment.
Refrescos.
Which is refreshment.
Yes. We love those.
Okay. Are we writing these down?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Number 11. There we go. Jasmine. Una
Limonada.
limo.
Oh, una limonada.
Una
That's
limonada.
lemonade.
Right.
Limonada.
Like a lemon is limon, right?
Limon, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Un sopa.
Una sopa.
Una.
Now,
Soup.
yeah,
You
soup.
answered it.
Now we're into food, right? Before we were into drinks, so now we're into food. Para comer means to eat.
Oh,
right?
what?
We're eating.
Yeah, sure.
Una sopa. What number is that? 2. That should be number 12.
I'm out of order. Because I started writing the
That's
words
11.
before.
12.
Una
That's
sopa.
12.
Number 13, el jamón, ham.
That's ham.
Mhm.
That was nasty.
It does.
Now, what's really funny is, this is where I have made mistakes.
Babylona.
There's a word for soap, and it's jabón, J-A-B-O-N. So I will mix it up and I will say, a lot of people will say, for soap, they'll say sopa, but that really means soup, right? Okay, and sometimes for ham, I will say jabón, which is really soap.
Jamon.
So,
How do you say bologna?
how you say what?
Bologna.
Bologna, I just say carne, which is meat. Yeah.
Carne.
There it is.
Skylar, how is your brother?
Bologna, and it's an A.
You know what?
How am I?
Because it comes from the Italian
I
word
taught you all the
bologna.
time. Well, I'm sorry. Every time I see you, I thought.
Wait a minute, the Italian
good?
word is, because I can't speak over you, the Italian word is B-O-L-O-G-N-A, Bologna.
Bologna.
And we just say bologna. All right, el queso.
Cheese.
Cheese.
A queso.
Una ensalada
That's salad.
is salad.
Una tortilla.
Una tortilla.
Una tortilla is
Chips. Or,
little tortilla, what is it?
tortilla chips.
Where do you see chips at?
Not sure what that is.
That looks like a
Somebody like the
bread.
tortilla bread. Somebody look it up.
It's like
It
piece
looks
of
like a-
cheese.
Yeah, like a quesadilla bread.
Because there is for pie, the word is torta.
Okay.
So tortilla could be It's really bread, but Spanish type of bread.
Is that iced tea?
Yes, that's iced tea.
The helado?
Like I'm
So I look up tortilla and it says tortilla. So you're just gonna have to learn tortilla is tortilla, you know, like Spanish bread.
Tortilla. Spanish bread.
Yeah. Un bocadillo is a sandwich. There's two words, two ways to say it. Un sandwich y un bocadillo. Papas fritas, we know what that is, right? French fries. Which really means fried potatoes here. Una hamburguesa, remember the H is silent. Una hamburguesa, which is a hamburger. Un pan dulce. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Pancillo is a dinner roll, so sweet bread, cinnamon roll, something like that. Un helado de vainilla is vanilla ice cream, and un helado de chocolate is chocolate ice cream.
Chocolate.
Un helado de fresa would be a strawberry or, yeah, strawberry.
What's strawberry?
Fresa, F-R-E-S-A. Here we have antes and después. Do you know those words? Antes and después.
Después is like.
The stress is like.
Stop!
I don't even have to explain that.
Antes is before and después is after.
Yeah.
So you might want to write that down, please.
So the bill
Huh?
and the, order.
Check.
Wait, what are we writing now?
Antes de comer.
Antes de comer. In red.
You gotta get moved. If
Oh.
you gonna keep something, you gotta get moved.
Really?
Period.
Never.
Huh?
You said una tortilla is
Don't
like
call me that.
like bread.
I'm a billionaire. I'm cute.
So antes de comer, before you eat. Sí, señores, ¿qué desean ustedes, right? Desean, from desear, what do you wish? Para mí, for me, un café con leche, por favor. So the girl is saying, for me, a coffee with milk, please.
And he said,
Y means what?
and.
Para mí, una soda.
What you want?
Why is it una? Wait, never mind.
Sí, señor. Enseguida.
How do you say
That's the bill,
check?
right?
Huh?
La cuenta.
La cuenta.
That's the-
Excuse me?
That's the bill, right?
Yes, the check.
The check, please.
That was check.
The check, please.
La cuenta, por favor. Está incluido. There's there. Está.
Is it included?
Está incluido el servicio. In other words, is the tip included? Sí, señor.
Correct.
Enseguida. He says, oh, la cuenta, por favor. He goes, sí, señor, enseguida. He goes right away. And she's saying, está incluido. Is the tip included? Sí, señor. Why does she say sí, señor? It should be sí, señor. Maybe he's talking. Sí, señor. Okay? So they say el servicio. What I say for tip is propina. La propina está incluido. So, so this is where estar is. Okay? This is where we're gonna get a little, guys gotta pay attention to this for a start. This is, remember last time when we were doing the verbs and you kept putting ser and then the verb? And I said, don't do that? Yeah. Well, this is where you put estar and the verb.
What?
That's why I kept saying, don't put ser, put estar. I'm gonna teach you something. Pay attention, it'll be easy. Okay. What am I doing right now?
Walking.
So say it in the
I'm
whole
walking.
sentence.
She is
Senora,
Senora is walking.
Is walking. And you guys use ser for is, right? I said, don't do that. You use estar. La señora está I can't say caminar. So you can't say you. I'll put ella. You can't put she is have to walk. You have to put caminando. Anything ending in ando means ing in English. Here's where you put is. And I said I haven't taught you that yet, that's why don't use ser, you use a star. So now you can put a star with a verb. Amber, I'm gonna ask you.
We're talking about yes, we were, because I thought it was
But you're disrupting. Whoa, okay. Okay, I mean, all right, so the one time I call on you, but you want, ella está caminando.
She is walking.
How do I say I am walking?
Yo.
Estoy.
Estoy
Caminando. Anything with an A-N-D-O means an I-N-G. For example, yes.
I have a question with this picture. What is this? That's sweet bread.
Which one?
It's like, it's literally, as Scott said, literally means sweet bread. So it's like a cinnamon roll.
I used to see it from all the way.
All right,
Like
so, give me an AR verb. Any AR verb.
The dog.
Okay.
To swim.
20.
Give me another AR verb. Give me an AR verb. Llevar?
Buscar.
Okay, llevar, buscar, good.
Bailar.
Bailar.
Mirar. M-I-R-A-R.
Cantar.
Yeah.
Necesitar.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, trabajar. Trabajar. You know the words now. Put A-N-D-O. Remember we said you always take out the AR to leave the stem, right? So I'm taking out the AR. Now I add A-N-D-O, so it'll be what? Hablando. Necesitando. Bailando. Llevando. Buscando. Mirando. That's all you do. Take out the AR, the stem, which you already know how to do. All right, so. You take out the AR, and what do you add, Amber?
Add the O,
I'm talking about INDO means ING. So I said talking is ANDO. Meeting, ANDO. Dancing, ANDO. Giving, ANDO. Carrying, ANDO. Looking for, and
Okay.
looking
So
at.
A-N-D-O equals the English
ING. But you have to use it with a star.
Correct.
You have to use it with a star first.
And what do we do? We estoy in one of the words?
Estando.
Estoy, I'm just making this up. Está. What does estamos bailando mean?
It means
We are dancing.
We are dancing.
We are dancing.
I was already
I
saying
said it.
first.
I said it first.
I said we are dancing.
I said we are
Estoy dando, I'm giving, like estoy dando libros a los niños, I'm giving books to the children, yes.
I'm giving.
Always A&DO, right?
Always ANDO for AR
You
verbs.
said it must be a star, right?
Only the star, only for AR verbs, we haven't even talked about the ER verbs yet. Which is what I'm starting in this unit, okay? I'm just giving you examples, están llevando, they're carrying. Está buscando, she's looking, or he's looking, or you were looking. And then we are looking, okay? Always use it with a star if you see A and B. Of course, you'll see exceptions. In real literature, you might say, what are you doing? Leyendo. I'm reading. They might not use a star, but it's understood that estoy leyendo. You understand what I mean? Just like how we talk, sometimes we leave things off, but everybody knows what you mean in context. But that's the way you use it. Don't use ser, do not use ser, use estar. With now, just as Igor was ahead of us,
Because he's Portuguese and he just know everything.
well, we can relate, which is why it's good to learn a language.
I have 75 cents.
A and D-O for AR verbs. For IR and ER verbs, comer. You don't say comiendo, because that's an AR verb. You would say E-N-D-O. Comiendo.
I'm not even thirsty, you just drink water for no reason.
Estoy comiendo. Alright, so with ER verbs, it's I-E-N-D-O. It's only A-N-D-O for AR.
So this is.
So I am eating. Estoy comiendo. I'm eating.
Beber.
Bebiendo.
I'm drinking.
Lier.
Be-
You know what that means? I
Say
say
it.
everything.
Oh yeah.
I'm drinking. Okay. How about aprender, which means to learn?
Ma'am.
You're learning Spanish right now.
Comprehend. Wow.
Oh dumb.
Take off the ER.
Got to do this stuff.
That means
I-E-N-D-O.
That means the English ing for
Yes.
Aprendiendo.
Aprendiendo. Just take your time with it. Comprender. Everybody knows what that means.
comprehend.
To understand, to comprehend. So if you take off the ER, what do you have?
You said this was just for ER verbs?
Only the I-N-D-O is ER verb. Comprender. Take out the ER, and what do you add? I-E-N-D-O. Comprehend. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm writing English. Comprehend. Comprender. Comprehend. Take off the ER. I-E-N-D-O. Comprendiendo. Estoy comprendiendo. I'm understanding. Yes. All right. How about beber? Did we do that?
To drink.
To drink. Okay.
We have that.
Okay. Beber. Take out the ER, right, and add I-E-N-D-O. Bebiendo. Vender. Take out the ER, which means to sell. And it would be vendiendo. Just teaching you the pattern for ing. And there, which is, take out the ER, viendo. Yeah.
It's cold.
It sounds weird, I know. Tener, take out the ER, teniendo. But people don't usually say teniendo like I'm having. You can say it, but it's a little awkward, so I'm not gonna put it there yet. Don't get vendiendo and viendo mixed up. Don't get it mixed up on a test or a quiz. This Friday, you're gonna have your second quiz of the second market period.
Yes.
That will be on
Right.
foods. The foods you have right here.
Yes.
Okay, the foods.
What do we have to do? Make a
Well, it'll be like pictures.
I'm not sure.
I like pictures.
I think you should do pictures.
I like coloring too.
Huh?
Okay, can I erase this?
Yeah.
Correct.
It's kind of
What is that,
common
Mitch?
sense.
Exactly.
Take
Oh,
off.
like,
What were the last two?
All right. I did have a whole thing to do too. Okay, where we are. Yes.
What were the last two words? Bed and.
Viendo. 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 V-I-E-N-D-O.
We'll practice this more tomorrow, so don't worry about it. It's okay.
Yeah, I really got a fat back.
All right, now, we have una sopa, el jamón, el queso, cheese, una ensalada, una tortilla.
Oh, Skylar, you owe me a salad.
And if you said tortilla, that would be fine.
You
Un
owe me a
bocadillo.
salad.
Sandwich.
First you owe me a
Sandwich.
Chick-fil-A. Now you owe me a salad.
Sandwich.
Sandwich.
papas fritas,
French fries,
hamburguesa,
hamburger,
un pan dulce,
sweet roll,
tin roll, un helado de vainilla,
ice cream, vanilla ice cream,
un helado de chocolate,
chocolate ice cream.
okay, un café con leche, coffee without the milk, with the milk.
That mashed potatoes? I'm like, what? Clearly says vanilla.
Un café con leche. Coffee with I just said that for you. Okay, un té helado.
Some
Té
tea.
helado.
Huh?
Tea.
Un té. Iced tea.
Ice
Smoke.
tea.
Una limonada.
Well, we all
Lemonade.
Oh, look at that.
Un café solo.
That's black coffee.
Black coffee.
Coffee black straight.
Coffee black shirt.
Scott said it's caffeine. So,
Coffee black
so if
shirt.
you go to Puerto Rico, you don't like caffeine.
Bro, I want to go to
I've
Puerto
never been
Rico,
but I
bro.
would
Oh,
assume.
you know
I would
this.
assume if you go to a Spanish-speaking country and you say, they say, oh, what do you
That's a
wish?
Brazil
And you
sweet.
say, oh, para mí un café
Rio de
negro.
Janeiro.
I don't think they would get it if you said black coffee.
Yeah.
Maybe they will now, but traditionally,
Café
no.
negro.
You'd have
Uno
to
se es
un
café
solo.
So what if I wanted brown? Would I say un café
There's
moreno?
no.
Regular.
Regulano.
With a little bit of milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little like
Café con
light
coco
leche.
leche.
Coco leche.
Light leche,
You
okay.
didn't know that.
Yes, I
Or you
did.
could say
No,
mucha
yeah, no.
leche, which means a lot of milk.
Oh, mucha leche, yeah.
All right.
I love a lot of leche.
All right, what you're going to do this week also, which is a project grade,
Ah.
you're going to be writing a dialogue with a friend.
We're gonna write dialogue.
The problem with moving people is I hate to punish someone for somebody else's talking.
My bad, I was stretching my legs.
It's not just me, everybody sees it, both of you. So when we come in tomorrow, you can see what you're gonna see. All right.
Can I stay in this corner?
I see how you act. I don't know.
I've been chilling the whole time, you know.
Something about something with vanilla, I'm not sure.
That was her.
Oh my God.
Cause she thought the ice cream was mashed potatoes.
Ice cream was mashed potatoes. That's what it
What?
was.
I just looked at the picture. Nobody would ever.
I just eat it.
Mashed potatoes.
So what would you think the chocolate ice cream would be?
I was just looking at that.
They got gravy on it.
Gravy.
I hate y'all.
Understand some gravy? Black gravy shit. Shit me.
Ooh, chocolate.
Okay.
Chocolate mashed potatoes? Like what?
Let's turn the page. Oh, wait a minute.
What,
Put
what?
down here.
What we got?
In nota. When learning a language, try to guess the meaning of unfamiliar words. The other words in the sentence provide the context.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do a lot of this. So, Elena estudia español en la escuela. What would that mean?
Alina
She studies Spanish
at a school.
See, you know it.
Got you late. Sure
You
you said
know
it.
it. Okay. The next one, aprende, which I told you means to learn. Aprende el español en la escuela.
She learned
Spanish in school.
Wow, you guys know a lot.
Yes.
When I was your age learning Spanish, honestly, they did not teach us like this, so I couldn't translate. But you guys can translate.
So would you
Elena lee, leer means to read.
She
Elena
reads the
lee
menu
un
in school. The menu in Spanish.
She reads a menu in Spanish.
She comprehends the
She
menu. Understands the menu. Yeah.
Comprende porque aprende el español en la
She
escuela.
understands because she learns Spanish in school.
She's learning Spanish in school. Now, this is a good case. A lot of you, which I never thought to explain, because it was never explained to me that way, but
Period.
comprende actually means she understands because she is learning. Aprende. It's in the verb. All right? Or you can say comprende porque está aprendiendo if you wanted to. What?
The person with the crush is almost fell.
It was a man with his butt out.
That's not funny. No, bro, it's just, if you hear them hit the floor, it's hilarious. It's not funny.
I go on YouTube.
If they're okay, then it's hilarious. If they're not okay, then
I
it's
go on YouTube, I watch videos, I look up facts.
No, I don't. I hold it in. I know that, because if they do, I know they're okay because they're laughing too, so that's what makes me laugh.
If you go on YouTube, type in fat people falling, it's really funny.
I ain't say all that, but
It's so funny.
people falling in general is funny.
Me at nighttime when I can't sleep.
Are you serious?
Bro, that's what it be. You get in a YouTube wormhole. You just be watching anything.
For real, I look up people build pools and stuff.
The Indians? You talking about the Indians?
Yeah.
Bro,
No,
I wanted to be built like this.
Someone built that house in the mountains. It was pretty cool. It was like
When you at nighttime, you can't sleep, you look up anything.
Oh, senora is waiting. My bad.
Oh, sorry. How to speak.
Elena comprende. She what? Elena understands. Habla.
How to talk.
Read
No, it
and
doesn't say
write.
how to. She
She understands,
read,
talk, and read in
lee.
Spanish. Right.
She reads ESV
And writes in Spanish.
and writes in Spanish. Es una alumna buena.
She's a student.
Okay, Amber, you got to move. Seriously, you gotta go. Get up, get up.
20, vision.
Ven aquí.
Rápido.
Let's go.
Are you serious?
You ever
Bro,
watch
did y'all see that
Dora? That's a theme song.
Max, don't play.
Oh, I have a question. Alright, out of English,
You don't even
and
know the
Spanish,
words
what do you
to
think,
spell,
language adapt
Bye,
more?
Scott.
Like,
Where are we going?
offers through time. You said what?
To grandma's house.
I would have to say English maybe.
No, Spanish. Sorry. Here, that's where we're going. That's where we're going.
And what do you mean by adapts?
Like changes over time, like the news and things and like grammar. Because you said, they used to say this or they used to teach this, now it's this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are some people named Gay. Their name is Gay. That meaning has changed a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tech words we use now, which we didn't use before. But I can only speak for English because that's what I
Somebody
know
keep
best,
busting that.
so I don't know.
Oh yeah, so Spanish is your
I
second.
did not fart.
You learned it too?
I learned it at Vancouver Valley Regional High School,
Oh.
RHS.
Oh my God.
Bro, yeah, I'm thinking, okay.
I thought that was the first language in English was
Went
second.
abroad,
No.
Wait, you went to RV? She went
Yeah.
Highly educated from RV. God bless
in
you.
high school?
And she attained all the
You graduated from there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You miss Red right now?
Do it, no.
Wrong.
It was, I don't know.
They is fun.
I think it's very
Your
precious.
jokes look
It's
good.
very precious.
Did you always live in Jersey?
No. My dad was in the army, so we
Oh,
lived,
y'all travel.
Everywhere.
we did live in Japan for 5 years.
What?
Bro, I would love to go to Japan. Did you like it?
So the thing is, let me just tell you the story. I am really not feeling well, you know that?
Story time.
I can say
Let's just not learn today.
So,
Yeah, it's one day for Thanksgiving. I need to take my food
That's what
out.
I'm saying. We shouldn't even came today.
so what happened was, after World War II, my dad was like 16 or 17. He was very poor in North Carolina. So he enrolled, it was World War II, so he enrolled, because there was nothing for a young black man to do, back then.
Your dad's black.
Yeah, and he was the
Oh, you
soldier.
come. Oh, my Yo, I knew she was a sister.
Patterson was my maiden name, Patterson.
Oh, that's a black man.
So what happened was,
Oh.
he went to World War II. He was stationed always in the Far East. After World War II, he was stationed in Japan. He's a young man, right? The Japanese were conquered by the Americans. Do you remember the atomic bomb?
Yeah.
So what they told my mother, and they told, who's Japanese, what they told my mother and all of the Japanese women at that time, the Americans are gonna come in and rape you, and they're gonna come and burn the villages. My mother lived in a village. So they all the young women ran into the forest to hide from the Americans coming in. They didn't know, because it was an isolated country before World War II. So and plus the Japanese soldiers were abusive, so they thought, oh, all soldiers are like our soldiers. Because the Japanese soldiers committed a lot of abuses in China and in Korea. Anyway, after a couple of weeks, everybody was starving. There was no food. Remember, it was a poor country, poor. They started to hear rumors that the Americans are friendly, it's not like that. They're giving out candy, they're giving out jobs, and my mother didn't speak any English. So she was like, well, how are they going to give jobs to us? We don't even know how to speak their language. But slowly they came out. I don't know how my mother got a job, but she got a job on an army base. It was called a PX, Post Exchange. So she would walk home every day to her house. I don't know where it was. So every day, this black soldier, American, to them they're Americans. Black or white didn't matter. They were just, because they'd never seen anybody from America. This American would follow her in this big old green Oldsmobile. That meant he had money if he had a car, to the Japanese, right? She'd walk home, and musume means like señorita in Japanese. He'd say, hey, musume. You know, had the hot top
Your
down.
dad was like, he was that guy.
That boy, he was
My
him.
boy Patterson. It was him.
So she ignored him, of course. She ignored him. This kept on, like for 2 weeks. He did this. I guess he was stalking her. 2 weeks she would get out. Finally, push come to shove. Of course, she gave in because he was a gentleman and he had a nice car, and you know her family was poor even though she had a job. So in those days, for Americans the soldiers to bring Japanese wives, they were going to get married. To bring Japanese wives to America was an easy thing. It wasn't like, because the Americans wanted to be friendly, you know. They had already killed millions of Japanese with the atomic bombs, so they were trying to make up for it, I guess. So when my mom went for an interview, she had to take the citizens test and all that. She broke in English, she knew hardly any English. This intake soldier said to her, oh, if you go to America with a black man, you're going to have a hard life. It's not going to be easy for you. You know, there's prejudice, there's racism. And my mom was like, what? What is that? So she went back to my dad and she said, oh, they told me in the army that I shouldn't marry you because I'll have a hard life. I said, don't believe that. And really, my dad's family in the United States was a big family in North Carolina, and they just embraced her. She had a wonderful life. Big family, lots of cousins. I mean, they didn't have a lot of money. They were in the South, but they were rich in family and love.
That's what that is.
And they loved her, and she loved them. So my dad brought her back, and then he had to go to Korea. So being a Japanese woman in the South, this was Fort Knox, Kentucky. Does anybody know what Fort Knox famous for? Is famous for?
Is that a military base?
Fort Knox, Kentucky. It's famous for holding all of the gold of the United States.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Fort Knox is really a fort, and all of the gold in bullions are at that. Anyway, I just want to let you know that. So we were in Fort Knox, yes. Yes. So then, my dad had to go to Korea,
You should have went.
and he was able, plus my mother's family. Now remember, Japanese were conquered, they were killed by a lot of Americans, the atomic bombs, 2 atomic bombs. My mother's family said, if you go to the United States with this American, we will never speak to you again. You are out of the family. Well, remember, they were the enemy, right? Japanese. They were the Yankees. It was Yankees go home. That's a big thing. So my mother did it anyway. And she had me, and she had my sister, and she, you know, she had to learn American culture. She was by herself because my dad was in Korea. So that's when my dad's family said, you know, just move here in North Carolina, we'll take care of you. So that was just for a year. And then my dad was able to get stationed back in Japan. 10 years later now. No, I was like 5 years old. But they had gotten married 5 years before, so it was like 10 years had passed. So my mother was like ecstatic, like, how is my family going to treat me? Because I haven't seen them in 10 years. They felt like I was a traitor. I was ostracized from the family. Well, because she came back with 2 babies, I was like 6 by the time we got there. and my sister was like 4 or 5. And that's a whole nother story. The 2 weeks on the ocean. I gotta tell you a story about that another time.
What for 2 weeks? The slavery boat.
No!
Why do you see? I was in the water for 2 weeks straight. What are you doing in the water for 2 weeks?
Oh, it was a Navy ship.
You gotta tell the story.
Huge.
Oh, that probably was fun.
Yeah, we've been through
They
life.
didn't fly,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's how tomorrow.
they didn't fly family, so that 2 weeks on the ocean was in the USS Hotel was like the best 2 weeks of my 6 years on this earth. I loved it. We could run around, which now that I think about it, was dangerous because I would go to the edge and just look out over the ocean.
yeah,
Sometimes the
yeah.
you know how it will dip.
Yeah,
I mean, I could have fallen over. And nobody
No,
was watching.
senora.
I was like, they let little kids run around like.
You must have been off.
Really, and we had so much fun. I mean, they would have arts and crafts for little kids. And my sister, who was, my sister was 5 by that time. My mother and I were so sick, seasick, on the ship, we couldn't come out of the cabin. We were throwing up. My sister, 5-year-old, and plus my sister is little anyway, she's petite. She would go up. I don't know how she even found her way. Maybe she was following the other families to the dinner where the captain was. This huge, you ever see, what are they, cruise ships? Yeah. You know, the dining halls, how big they are. She would go there, she went right up to the captain's table, and she would sit there, and they would feed her, and after like 3 or 4 days, they were like, well, where are your parents? What are you doing here, little girl? A 5-year-old. And she would always get crackers after dinner and bring us crackers because that's the only thing we could eat. Next thing we know, there's this knock at the cabin door. The captain himself came down to investigate. Like, where is your mom? Where's your dad? And he saw how sick we were. So that was fine after that. But all the adults were like, what is this little girl doing here by herself? And she would just talk and eat and get crackers for us. So, I admire my sister about like that, that she was able to do that. But I do remember like walking. I thought that the ship was Japan because I was only 6.
Oh my God! Yeah, this Japan. You don't know where you're at.
And plus it was, if you've ever seen a Navy ship, it's huge.
Yeah, they're huge.
So I just thought, we're gonna be here forever? When's Daddy coming,
That was hilarious.
So we stayed on the ship, and then we got to Japan, and we met, and then that's when my mother was able to reconcile with her family, because she had 2 babies, and it's 10 years later,
2 little
people
black
forgive,
kids.
and so we lived on an army base.
Because I'm in love.
And so we lived for 5 years on the army base, which I'm hoping to go back to this summer for the first time. Because it was cool, it was really, really cool. In those days, you didn't have any worry about crime. My mother didn't see me from sunup, literally, to sundown.
Wow.
And there was a van that would go around the base, and it was a Japanese driver, and I remember it was a brown van, before vans were popular, and it was like a little taxi. And so he'd come around every 15 minutes, they came around, so you knew you could get off and on. So we would always say, take us to the snack bar. There was a bowling alley, a library, and a snack bar, and that's where I heard, like from the jukebox, that's where I heard all of the popular songs, because soldiers would come in there. Here I am, 10 years old, with my friends, we're riding around all day long on this van, and to get off, you had to say to the Japanese driver, Koko. Koko means here. Koko. So we'd say Koko, and he'd stop, and we'd get off. So one day I was doing this is during the summer, and we did this for years. Every summer we had fun. Or ride our bikes around the army base. You can't do that now. You can't, it's not that. It's just
Everything is gated and locked down.
Well, plus, there's more perverts out there. We didn't worry. They didn't worry about their 8-year-old, 9-year-old running around all day long. I only came home when I was hungry. So, they didn't worry about that. So, thank God. But one day my dad saw me. He said he saw me, I don't know. He said, oh yeah, I saw you talking to some soldiers. And I said, what? I was about maybe 11 by then. I was so hurt because I didn't talk to any soldiers, but the soldiers hung out in the snack bar. And you know, I never thought about soldiers at 11 years old. I wasn't fresh. So for him, he was just checking to see where my head was. And I was just so hurt and mad at him for a long time for that.
Wait, why couldn't you talk to soldiers? They're old.
They were like, you know, like 18, 19, 20-year-old soldiers that
She was
just
10.
enlisted.
Who does that? Like,
She was like, we would always go to the snack bar to get the milkshakes and all this. One of my most favorite memories, and this is what I tell you, my favorite flower and tree is the cherry blossom.
Cherry,
they had those in Japan. Oh wow.
And because in the back of the snack bar was an aisle of just cherry blossoms. And I would run in between that aisle of trees and the cherry blossoms would blow. And it just was
I am so
living the
jealous.
best life.
I am so jealous.
So, but those were way back in the day. I wouldn't let my children or my grandchildren. One time we went to the Bahamas, and it was just a little enclosed place, and I couldn't find my son. And I went running to the gate, and I said, "Did you see a boy running through here?" And they laughed at me because I was panicking. And it turned out he was somewhere in one of the places, you know, because I guess in their country, the Bahamas, it's the same way. They feel safe. There aren't any perks, but you immediately now you think, you know. So I think I've wasted enough time, right? Because I don't feel well.
I enjoyed that story.
I enjoyed that story.
Listen, guys, if I am not here tomorrow, you know why. I just don't feel well.
Yeah.
That's hard now.
All right.
Senora, you know I'm Japanese too?
You are? Me too.
You are?
Yeah.
You can tell.
Stop!
How?
My great grandmother.
Do you know some words?
No.
Where is she?
Where is she? Oh, she passed.
Oh,
Yeah, she came here. She met my great grandfather during World War II. And they came over here and had kids.
What?
You happen to know her name?
No, I do not.
Can you find out her name?
Yes, I can.
It's possible that my family could know her.
Y'all related?
Because there weren't a lot of Japanese.
No, freaking what?
Yeah.
I'm Japanese too, y'all.
First and last name.
First and last name. I can find out.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Y'all
you.
know that? Didn't know one.
All right.
10 minutes.
I learned a lot.
I did too, but.
Without me.
What?
You forgot my
Maybe like you go back.
Me too. Really? Okay, Lee do for you. Yeah, I be like, no. Lee do mine.
Cindy, I want you.
My mom did that too. She's like, you care if anybody do? I said, no, Lee. She's like, one time I had her there, got lost. What were you? Yeah, what were you? She come back? I said, she's not from Florida. We all do this, but like Candy. I said, she said, do your sister have baby yet? Do your sister have baby yet? I said, yeah. Oh, she have boy on her.
Yeah.
Cindy wanted to know all of it. You better get that speech so you can get a ticket for that. I mean, you still go there? Yeah, I went there.
Your assignment tomorrow is going to be the text book, page 67.
Okay. Remember that, Scott.
6, 7.
Mom, that old lady said, I hate you.
Not 6, 9.
No.
But it's right here. It says page 67.
Okay. She cut my niece's finger like that.
On the back, page 90. On the back.
I might go back to that submission because like the lady I went to leave in the house and she doesn't take me and my mom at the same time. She takes one person at a time and refill and cut down. And she was right here. If I hit this, I'm done.
But that was so fast.
That was fast, right?
Oh my god.
It was so fast.
If you hit those, you're done.
I'm gonna stop breathe it just so I can hear him.
I need a refill bad, but like,
ain't even cut down.
yeah, she doesn't take 2 people at one time, so like, I can't drive myself there. And then she's like, she's not taking
I wish I had nails.
I'm talking about estimation. Like,
I get it.
what's the point?
I'll get acrylic. I have soft.
I just get acrylic on top of my room. These are my room nails.
I
don't get
hurt. You said those are your real nails?
Yeah.
No, let them grow and breathe.
They are growing. I just get
No, like let them breathe.
with no acrylic on it.
Yeah.
Oh no, my nails cannot go out acrylic. They look a mess. They look flimsy and they. You guys are strong.
That's another thing. I don't want to try it because my nails are strong.
Yeah. So come on, let's get some hardener on top of it. You should be fine. I'll get a acrylic on my, because I play basketball. Like when I hit my nail, it doesn't break. If I just leave it regular, it's gonna break.
But I would break really
My mom knows is longer than mine. They her real nails. They like.
Bro, I didn't bring anything to clean my
She
car.
just needs to order this.
Oh my god.
At this part, I need a motherfucking refill and a cut down. I'm gonna cut them all the way down and restart.
It's a design or like a sticker. She sat there and did all online.
I showed her a picture. I was like, oh,
that isn't fair.
this is really, this is not Jeff.
Make it pointy?
No, they make it like square round, like
this.
You don't like the middle?
No, I like the square.
That's just square.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes, like every time you see on the side of the bad. This is why I got no money. I'm just like, I like going to big house, but like, it just takes so long. Like, it takes like 2 hours just to do it.
Bro, I haven't been able to go get one. I feel like I want to first.
It's so nice. I think it's like really nice.
Who's bro?
I have yet to get my toes. I want to get my toes.
I get my feet down. That's why my feet look good. That's why my feet look good. Say no more. Say that more. My feet look
But
good.
he got athlete's foot.
Who got at least?
Not like the feeling, like he actually has an athlete.
Who? Oh yeah. His big toe black. His big toe like black. He's straight black. A little bit, like it's like a tad bit.
I just like going to because my shape just started changing. Like it was really weird. Like this one is still massive.
This kind of. They're not sticking to the street though.
Did it
It's sticking to the grass a little bit.
Oh my god, we have to go home.
The street too
We have to go home early because it's snowing, man.
I hope so.
They
It's
said
like it's winter snow warning.
it's gonna be like 4 inches.
4 inches today?
That's what they
I
said.
didn't know all day.
I didn't know it was gonna snow till last night. My dad was afraid
I knew this last week. I was like, this is
It's starting to. Hold up.
It's like the
A little bit, but it's wet outside.
It's coming out. It's coming down hard.
Yeah. Tonight it was.
Yay! Let's go tomorrow.
No, it's fine.
Will there be school tomorrow? I wonder. It's gonna be snowing a lot.
I don't think it's gonna stick.
I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, so. There might be a 2-hour delay.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, okay. If I don't see you, or have a good day.
No, I don't got